Welcome to Wednesday, January 11th, 2023. Your Day with the Podcast brought to you by Cowboy State Daily. Also brought to you by YDOT. When there's ice and snow, take it slow. Well, we've got a bit of snow coming with a piece of the Pacific weather coming through the Rockies today. Areas of snow will fall. Some parts of Wyoming in particular. Going to see some light to moderate snowfall in a few areas, not widespread, but a few areas, with more snow falling in the high country. A break in the weather will develop Thursday through Saturday across a lot of the West as we see a little bit of high pressure build in, but it's temporary because we'll start to see another wave pattern of storms coming into the West Coast during the weekend into early next week, late Saturday into Sunday through the middle of next week. So that's just going to bring more mountain snow, and the pattern is going to get more active. Fronts getting a little bit further east. And then right around the 20th of the month, there's going to be a pattern change. What we're going to see is the stormy pattern battering the West Coast is going to continue till about the 20th. Then we're going to see after the 20th, the West Coast dry out and colder weather and a more active pattern for the central and eastern United States with colder, more January-like temperatures will be coming on in. That will likely go into the month of February. It's been relatively mild over a lot of the nation after the big blast of Arctic air that happened in December. And this pattern of recently mild weather will last, generally speaking, another week or so. But then we do see the middle to the end of January and into February turning colder again. So this January thaw that we're in for most of the nation is just that, a January thaw, not necessarily a long-term trend. Today's 500 millibar chart shows that low there in western Colorado, pushing its way through with the big low sitting off of the Pacific Northwest coast, off the coast of British Columbia. And boy, this low right here, you can really see it on the satellite imagery that I'm showing you here with this big swirl of clouds rotating there out across the eastern Pacific. So here's today's low pressure system, what's left of that storm that battered California. You can see another push of moisture driving into California. That's going to bring more rain and mountain snows. And then we've got this low here. Look at this. Another big system back here further. So basically, these storms just keep forming in the Pacific. And for the next 7 to 9 days, the pattern will continue to bring those storms our way. This is through Saturday morning. This looks very similar to what we showed you yesterday, where this area of moisture right here is basically what's coming with the low that'll be coming through today. So you can see these blue patches. Where you see these blue areas is where some heavier snow is going to fall. Now, it's a pattern where temperatures really aren't that terribly cold, so it's going to be a wet snow. But there's going to be some snowfall in portions of the central Rockies and plains as the system moves across the divide. And there you can see the onshore flow of moisture bringing central and northern California, Washington, and Oregon more rain and more snow. This is the snowfall forecast through Saturday morning. So there's going to be a little bit of snow here getting out into the plains of eastern Wyoming, eastern Colorado, parts of far western areas of Nebraska. I think this arch right here from the Wind River Mountains through Casper, through Douglas, Lusk, along parts of the I-80 corridor is where the more measurable snowfall is going to be. You can see the northern tier continues to just miss these systems as the direction of the flow of moisture is more directed right along Interstate 80, and that'll be, again, the case through the course of the weekend. Focusing a little bit more, you can see a little bit of a downsloping effect. We've seen this all winter. I know snow lovers and Laramie and Cheyenne in particular just keep getting frustrated, and I'm one of them. These systems just kind of going up over and around and getting everybody else either that way or going this way and kind of leaving the middle dry. Eventually, Mother Nature will catch up and fill that hole in, but again, the better moisture will be in those areas that you can see there. Then high pressure builds in for Friday. Now, it's not what I'd call a very strong high pressure ridge. It's going to be around for a couple of days. But during this time frame of Thursday into early Saturday, fair warmer weather will come in while these lows are lined up again. There's 1, 2, 3. So there's just going to be more parades of lows coming into the West Coast for more rain and more snow. Now, this is by Sunday afternoon. So this is by Friday. This is by Sunday. You can see another push of that moisture, kind of similar to what's happening now. Going to come inland through the central Rockies, bringing cooler weather and some areas of snowfall again into the central and northern Rockies and central and northern plains. So this is basically what's been going on for the past 2 weeks. It's going to go on for another week. This is 10 days from now. So this is right around the 20th and 21st. Notice the high pressure ridge and building along the west coast, and the troughs now beginning to push in more inland. And notice the winds aloft now are by then coming in from the northwest behind this system. We've been dominated by this westerly flow and will be. But around or after the 20th, we're going to start to see high pressure wanting to form here, high pressure wanting to form up towards Greenland again. So what we're doing is we're setting the stage for this part of the country between these boundaries I'm drawing, starting to see a trend towards colder weather. And there you can see it. 10 days out, colder than average temperatures across a large part of the west as the door opens to Canada again. And over the next 10 days, pretty wet across a lot of the nation, with areas of snow and rain in many areas. Of course, the northern plains areas here kind of missing out again, down here as well. But everywhere else, the moisture flow is impressive. And over the next 10 days, you can see we may have the potential for some snow back out on into the plains again, into the Great Lakes, coming out of the Rockies. So there's going to be some active weather later this weekend and next week. As we go out to 15 days, this is by the 26th, 27th of January, you can see that long-range projections here are showing generally a much colder trend, below average temperatures, coming in as we get to the last 10 days of January, peaking into early February. So this is the change to a colder regime across the country that we're going to see later in the month as we get to the second half, last 10 days of January into early February. Wanted to show you this. Lake Oroville, huge reservoir in California. This is responding to the rainfall, not necessarily the snow that's fallen in the mountains. That comes later, but you can see that the levels, if you just go back to the 1st of January, right here, look at the increase in lake levels that have occurred at Lake Oroville since the storms really started. So, you're around 707 there, and you're now up almost to 750 in terms of height levels. And then this is where it was a year ago. This is what it was 2 years ago. Notice on this graph, we have the spike in water levels here. This basically April, May. Here's your runoff that happens during spring. So you can see just the rain has pushed it up to here. With the additional rains coming, this graph is going to end up about here. And then when you look at the full pool, basically full pool of 900, the ability to fill Lake Oroville is looking like a given with the rain that's coming. And then even if things level off, then you're going to have the runoff coming later. So that is a big reservoir. You fill it, that's a lot of precipitation, as obviously we have seen. Have yourself a great Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow.